everyone, welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, I wanted to provide you with the real working mom's viewpoint on the new revamp of the Dior Forever foundation. So for today's video, I'm going to be reviewing the Dior Forever 24-hour wear high perfection skin caring foundation in the matte version. They also came out with a new Skin Glow Radiant version as well. However, I selected the matte version based on my skin type. As a quick disclaimer, of course, I am definitely not a YouTube beauty guru by any means, but I wanted to provide you all with a real working mom's opinion on this foundation. I will also do a wear test throughout the day today and let you know my thoughts at the end of the day. So if this sounds interesting to you, please of course leave this video a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel. I'd really appreciate your support as I'm trying to grow this channel. So in the next week or two, I'm about to go back to work after being on a maternity leave. So of course, I'm a little bit nervous about that, leaving my little one and also getting back into the workforce. However, it will be nice to kind of get back into the swing of things. That being said, I am on the lookout for a new foundation that provides a little fuller coverage for a professional setting and one that's easy to apply and low maintenance. So those are the things that attracted me to this new revamp of the Dior foundation. So the first thing I wanted to figure out was what my shade would be, and I haven't tried the original Dior Forever foundation, so I wasn't sure what shade I'd be there. So what I did was I went onto Sephora app and looked at their shade finder. So of course I would have loved to go into the Sephora store and get perfectly matched to my skin tone. However, with 4 little kids, it's nearly impossible to get out of the house, so I had to use the shade finder on the app as a next best alternative. I never used this before, so I figured I'd give it a go. So what you do with the shade finder is you click on the link and it'll ask you what your current foundation is that you're using and which shade tone you're using it in. So my current foundation is the Clinique Beyond Perfecting Foundation Concealer, and I have this one in shade 4, which is Cream Whip. When I entered that information into the Sephora shade finder, it told me that I should be looking for the Dior Forever foundation in the shade 2W. And how they describe 2W is warm, and it's technically for light skin with warm yellow undertones. So I received this about a week or so ago and have been using it almost daily since then and trying it out. Of course, this is still relatively new to me, so I will continue to use it going forward and let you know if my thoughts change. But I think over the past week, I've had a pretty good feel for how this performs. What attracted me to this foundation are a couple things. One is that it is a matte formulation, and I tend to have combination to oily skin, especially in my T-zone areas. So I find that a good matte foundation is ideal for my skin type. I also like the fact that it claims that it's 24-hour coverage, and again, I really need good coverage. I don't have time during the day to touch up regularly, so I wanted something that was very long wearing, and it claims this is 24 hours, which is pretty good in my book. And thirdly, it has SPF 35. So you know how big I am on good skincare and sun protection during the day. So to have that SPF 35, which is pretty high for foundations, is amazing to me. Even though I probably will apply extra sunscreen as well underneath the foundation and my makeup, the fact that this does have SPF 35 provides me some comfort in knowing that I am protecting my skin, even if I don't have time to put extra sunscreen on. So for all these reasons, this formulation of foundation was very appealing to me. First of all, the box, as you'll see here, is beautiful. You open up the box. This is what the packaging looks like. So it's a really pretty kind of frosted bottle here. There's a logo on the top. And it definitely has cleaner lines than the previous Dior Forever foundation. So I think it's just beautiful packaging as expected with this type of foundation, I'd imagine. First of all, I wanted to show you how it compares in terms of the color tone that I selected compared to my current foundation from Clinique. So I swatched my 2 foundations here for you. So this one here is my current foundation. It's the Clinique Foundation Concealer Beyond Perfecting in the color 4 or Cream Whip. And this is a huge swatch of the Dior Forever foundation in the matte version. It's 2W Warm. I think the Dior version has more of a yellow undertone than the Clinique version. So I was a little nervous about that, and as you'll see when I apply the product, it definitely has more of a yellow tone than what I'm used to. But because it's such a beautiful formulation, it does blend out quite nicely, so it's not as noticeable. But it seems that this is more of a yellowish undertone and definitely a little darker in shade than the foundation color I'm used to. In terms of how it's dispensed, There's a nice pump bottle, which I do like, and it makes for a very easy application. Now, as I mentioned, this is a reformulation of the original Dior Forever foundation. So according to the Sephora website, there are a couple of key differences. So the first of all is this new formulation is longer wearing. So this claims that it's 24-hour long wear coverage versus the previous version of the Forever foundation, which claims it was 16-hour coverage. The next benefit is this contains pansy extract and rosehip extract. And those are both important in terms of providing increased hydration and decreasing the effects of drying, especially important in this matte formulation of foundation, and also to provide increased protection of your skin from the elements and the environmental exposures, and to minimize the look of the pores. And the third difference between the original version of this foundation and the current revamped version is that there are more shades. So in this formulation, there are 28 shades, and previously there were only 24 shades. So hopefully be able to find more of a perfect match for your skin. So I'm gonna go ahead and try to apply this foundation. As you can see, I have a clean face, but I have no skin makeup right now. I do have some very light eye makeup and eyebrows and just lip balm on, just so I'm not totally makeup free. And as you can see, I have a lot of hyperpigmentation on my skin, which definitely has worsened with my pregnancies and also in this postpartum period. So I'm looking for at least a medium to hopefully a fuller coverage foundation to cover up those dark spots. And that has been pretty challenging to find for me. I purposely did not put any other skincare on my skin, including no skin primer. Although I often like to wear a primer under foundation, I decided to go just a clean face so that I can show you how this foundation itself performs. I also will not be putting on any other makeup on top of it once the foundation is on, and then I will do a wear test during the day. I just don't want to muddy the waters at all by adding other products on the skin, and I really truly want to see how the foundation itself performs. So I'm going to apply 2 pumps of the foundation to the back of my hand, and I'm just using my beauty blender here as I typically do with my foundations. And I'll just dab a bit on the skin here. And it's very lightweight and easy to apply. So this was just a couple of pumps for half of the face. So what I found in testing it out this week is that I do need a decent amount of product to cover to my liking. So with just 2 pumps, this is the coverage that I get, which isn't, in my opinion, adequate enough. But you can see it does leave a very nice smooth finish. So I'm going to go ahead and apply another pump to that side of the face and concentrate it on my dark areas that I want to try to mask. And that definitely helps cover them up. And in my opinion, I don't think there is a very strong scent to this at all. However, I have seen some reviews of this foundation that do describe a strong scent. But in my opinion, it's not bothersome at all. So that's one half of my face done. There's the undone side, and that's the other side that has been done. So I'm going to do the same to the other half of the face. And then I probably will do a few more areas of touch-up. So now I'm going to do a final pump and just touch up my dark areas and under the eye a bit. And I would, again, typically use a primer if I wanted true flawless application of a foundation. And here I don't have that. And I also, of course, would use concealer, setting powder with this, and my other face makeup. However, today I'm not going to do that. Quite a bit of it does soak into the beauty blender, which I believe is partially why I have to use so much product. I think if I was applying this with a foundation brush, I might not have to use so much product. But I do like the feel of a beauty blender for foundation application. It's what I'm used to, so that's what I chose to do here. So that's what it looks like after the applications. So I think it provides very nice lightweight coverage, and it's very comfortable so far on the skin. It doesn't really feel like I have foundation on at all. It's very smooth and velvety as described, and I think that's very true. In terms of whether it settles into my lines and pores. It's a little too early to tell, of course, but I definitely think it leaves a nice finish. I don't think it settles into my lines or pores any more than other foundations do. In terms of if it truly minimizes the pores, I think we'll have to see during their wear test throughout the day. I think that with oily skin, a matte foundation works really well. So I'm just sitting here a few minutes with you just so that I can see how it initially wears on the skin. Over the past week, I have noticed a little bit of oxidation within several minutes even after application. I think it tends to be not as noticeable if you put a primer underneath. So again, I typically would do that. However, today I'm not. So I do expect to see some oxidation on my skin now for that reason. And also if you set it with a powder, I think that'll also help as well. And today I'm not doing either of those things. So I think there is some oxidation with this foundation, and it is darker in shade tone than my usual foundation as well. However, when you blend it, I think it's not so noticeable. So my first impression as well after just putting it on is that I don't think this is a true full coverage foundation despite how much I used of it. I know it's buildable, however I did use quite a bit of product, and I still have the dark spots you can see under that foundation, which I'd be more comfortable covering up with a concealer. So I typically would still use a concealer with this and highlight that over my dark areas and under my eyes some. So I'd consider this a true medium foundation. So that's what this looks like after a couple of minutes on, and again, it's still very comfortable. I am going to do the wear test now, so luckily I don't have to go anywhere today, which is a rare occasion, but I'm going to be working from home today. I'm just doing some housework, cleaning up and doing some laundry, so I'm able to just stick around the house and not have to put any other makeup on to go out. So I'm going to test this for several hours. Although it's 24-hour wear, there's no way I can wear this for 24 hours, nor do I normally need to anyway. So I'm only going to be doing a several-hour wear test, but I think that'll give me a good sense as to how this wears. So we'll come back to you after my wear test time is over and let you know how comfortable the foundation is, how it looks on my skin, and also my final thoughts in terms of pros and cons on this foundation. After wearing it for about a week or so, I definitely have some strong opinions on this product from a regular working mom's perspective, so I'm hopeful you'll find that helpful if you stick around to the end of this video. Otherwise, I'm going to head out and start my household chores and get back to you in a few hours. Hi everyone, so I'm back again, and it's actually been almost 9 hours now since I left you all. As you can see here in our window, the sun has set and it's evening time. I've already made dinner and done a lot of errands today, so I think I've really put this foundation to the test. I actually even gave myself an unintentional steam facial when I made pasta for dinner. You all know what I'm talking about. So that really put this to the test, and I think the foundation has held up quite well in my opinion. So as you can see here, I have a very smooth matte finish still. I have not touched this up at all. I've not even touched my face at all during the entire day. In fact, honestly, I even left this tassy in all day when I did my chores. And I think the foundation still looks really flawless. It still remains very comfortable. So I don't really feel like I'm wearing foundation at all. And my oily areas that I normally get in my T-zone look pretty mattified still, even after 9 hours of pretty hard wear. I don't think that the foundation has settled into my lines or wrinkles any more than other foundations. In fact, I do think that it is living up to its claims of being slightly pore minimizing. In my opinion, over time, the foundation tends to look better throughout the day, in fact, and the oxidation that I initially experienced when placing the foundation on my skin tends to wear off with time. So I wanted to give you my quick pros and cons that I've come up with after wearing this foundation for about a week. So a lot of the pros are what I talked about already. It's a very lightweight formulation. It feels just like your normal skin. It's not too drying. In fact, my skin feels quite hydrated right now, and it does truly live up to its long-lasting claims. I'm not sure if it's a true 24-hour wear yet because I haven't tested that, but at least for over 9 hours of wear today, the foundation still looks pretty flawless in my opinion. So I think those are all major pros. One of the other pros is I don't experience much transfer of the foundation during the day. So I'm going to be taking a Kleenex here I have, and just want to show you that if you kind of dab your face some, I really didn't pick up much, if any, of the foundation on this white tissue. And that's pretty impressive to me. Most of my foundations and BB creams I like to use for coverage definitely transfer throughout the day. So again, I know this is something you've all experienced, but when I talk on the phone, the makeup always inevitably transfers on the phone. It drives me crazy and it's incredibly embarrassing, especially at work, but it's really hard for me to avoid with most of the products I have currently. But I found that this foundation really doesn't transfer much. So I'm really looking forward to trying it out when I go back to work in a week or so. And finally, what I love best about this is something that I can't truly test on my own, but I know is in there, and that's the SPF 35. So again, I really want to look for multitasking products. I don't want to be forced to have to place sunscreen on in addition to a foundation if I don't need to. So the fact that there's an SPF 35, which is pretty high, in my opinion, incorporated into this foundation formulation, I think is a huge plus. So I would say overall, this is a great foundation, especially for somebody that has oily skin. It's a medium coverage. It doesn't transfer much, does not settle into my lines or wrinkles. It does minimize pores, in my opinion, and it is very long wearing. So moving on to the cons. The one elephant in the room, of course, in terms of cons is the price point. So this foundation, in 1 ounce here in the States, retails for $52. Versus the current foundation I'm using, which is also quite nice coverage, by Clinique, is $29. So in my opinion, that's a huge price point difference for the same amount of product. So I'm not quite sure that it's quite worth the price in terms of an everyday foundation. So I think that this is something that I potentially will use for special occasions or the days that I have to spend a lot of time talking to patients at work, where I do want long-lasting full coverage. But on the other days, I think that the price point just doesn't justify it. So that's the huge con, is the price point. Another con is the shade choice. So as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, it was a little hard to determine which shade I would best fit into. I do not think the Sephora Shade Finder was the best in terms of picking the optimal shade. I think this shade is a little darker and a little more yellow than I'm used to. However, because the formulation is so smooth and lightweight, it does blend quite well. So in my opinion, you really can't tell that difference. In addition, I do think this foundation does tend to oxidize more than other foundations. I especially noticed this on the initial application and for about 30 minutes after I apply it. Again, if I do blend it out during the day, it actually improves in my opinion, and I don't see a huge problem with oxidation at this time. I also think that if I do apply this with a primer and set this with either setting powder or setting spray, the oxidized look will not be as significant. And again, for today's demo, I did not put anything else on my skin besides this foundation. So I think by adding those two elements, it actually will make the foundation wear a lot better as well. So overall, would I buy this foundation again? I'd say based on my experience so far, yeah, probably I would. I think it provides really nice coverage, very nice matte finish for my oily skin, and is very comfortable during the day and long wearing. Those are huge pros in my book. However, it's really the price point that detracts from this foundation, so I think that I will be using it more for a special occasion foundation or the days when I'm going to be working long hours and need more durable long-term coverage. Otherwise, I think the price point just doesn't justify it. So those are my thoughts on the new formulation of the Dior Forever Foundation in the matte version. I hope you found this helpful, and if so, please don't forget to leave this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to this channel. In addition, if you've tried this foundation, please comment down below and let me know your reviews on it. And also let me know if there's some other foundation brands that you are in love with and that I should try out as well. Otherwise, I will plan to see you again in my next video. Thanks for watching. Bye!